Hey there everyone, happy Monday. King 5 Meteorologist Adam Claibon here on today to tell you about more snow chances. We do have some accumulating snowfall around the area right now, which are going to be at very few spots. We're going to show you the radar, where we're seeing the snow and where we're not, because the radar definitely looks a little worse than what our situation is. Plus, we're going to talk about a first alert event that we're watching for tonight into the day tomorrow, where it looks like more areas should pick up on some accumulating snowfall as we go over the next 24 hours, heading into maybe even tomorrow afternoon. So we'll get into that, plus how this cold pattern still is sticking with us even on into the end of the week. But let's take a look at what's happening out there currently, because there is snow showing up on the radar. You may have seen some of those light flurries, a few light snowflakes move through areas here such as Seattle, Tacoma. Same story, but you can see all is bare as far as not only just the grassy surfaces, also seeing that on top of the highways and the streets. We're good to go there in those locations. Bellingham, as we speak right now, also looking completely snow-free. Again, you could see some snowflakes here as we go throughout the afternoon. Temperatures, I'm going to show you those in a bit, but they are safely above the freezing point in a lot of our spots. A lot of cloudy skies here to speak of as we talk right now. Now, as we go later on into the afternoon, we're going to keep an eye out for areas farther north on the coast, because here at Westport, some snow earlier on, maybe some light dustings here and there, but we're completely bare, so it looks like, right into those parts. But the north coast, there you can see on some of the logs and the branches right there, La Push, definitely seeing accumulating snowfall here on into our Monday. And then one band came through here looking at our Granite Falls School Net side, and that has coated more of the grassy surfaces. The parking lot completely bare, and it looks like it's going to be okay. Some heavier snow, it's been here a little while in Wishkah. You can see that did come down, cover some of the parking lots. Looks like the main street right there, okay, just more wet than anything else, but definitely seeing a little more of the accumulation into those parts with some of the heavier precipitation in place into that area. And then Everett, yeah, we can see that the skies are cloudy, maybe some snow here and there, some grassy surfaces on top of your vehicles, but overall not a huge issue for your Monday. And speaking of temperatures, just check out where they are. Upper 30s in Everett, we're at 38, 40s in Seattle, and in Renton, 39 in Tacoma. So that's why we're expecting today, even if you are seeing some of the snow, is not going to be a major issue. Around Bremerton, Shelton, back up above the freezing point up there around Hood Canal, we'll be right around maybe just slightly above freezing. No big concerns there, but we could see a few more areas pick up on some of the snow. And then out there closer to the north coast, where I showed you before, where we had some of that snow closer to La Push, that's where we have temperatures sitting just above the freezing point, but again, safely above the freezing point. Now here's the radar. As I told you, it is looking a lot worse than what our situation actually is. Some brighter bands of white, and now a lot more of those areas of pink beginning to show up too. So let's zoom into a few spots here. More of the central and north coast, heading up closer to Forks, Quileute, Tahola. Yeah, seeing some areas of snow now. Now, continuing on around Highway 101, Hump Tulips around to Aberdeen. Not going to be the most ideal if you're trying to drive right now, but I don't think it's impossible either, especially up there around Hood Canal. But the temperatures are warming enough that you can see the profile is allowing that. We're seeing a lot more of those greens beginning to pop up, some of those oranges and some of those pinks and purples, indicating some sort of mixing going on at times. And just the overall moisture itself is pretty light as it continues northward too. So Bellingham, as we get closer to more of the lunch hour today, early afternoon hours, some light snow, but overall, not expecting a huge concern from that across the San Juan Islands, maybe a quick dusting or coating out of that too. And then we continue south here along some of our foothill communities, Enumclaw, Bonnie Lake, up there around Maple Valley. Keep an eye out for some pretty light snow, but no huge concerns there. Now, the farther south you go, we'll continue to keep an eye out for some of the heavier precipitation to be down into these parts, and we'll be closer to this area of low pressure that's helping to develop and really generate all this snow. So winter storm warnings out for the south coast, and that will be until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We're talking up to 3 inches of snow, and those are for mainly elevations above 500 feet. Expecting less if you're closer to that sea level mark. Now today, here we are, Seattle. You can see the flurries kind of moving on through, maybe more sprinkles into the early afternoon. Either way you cut it, anything that falls should stay light. And then we head on into the evening, and it's really late tonight too, and I say probably around or after midnight that we'll get this next wave of snow that start to come on in, and that will be the concern for early tomorrow morning, as it won't be a lot of snow, but it's just going to be more of the timing, and that will be the issue. Now, future temperatures as we go throughout the rest of today, you can see those numbers climb all the way up into the 40s. So again, safely above the freezing point, maybe starting to see some of that snow melt away. Then we head on here into the evening, 10 p.m., starting to see some of that snow arriving. I'll show you that here in future radar in a bit, but temperatures are falling back closer to that freezing point, and then we'll continue to drop as we head on into the night. But overall, we're still talking about temperatures right at or maybe slightly above the freezing point, and then we continue on into later tomorrow morning, and we're back up around the upper 30s, maybe some lower 40s beginning to pop up into early tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. So it will melt fairly quickly, and we won't have too many widespread concerns as we go throughout the day as far as slick roads or sort of icy situations. Now tomorrow night we continue to drop those temperatures down again, and maybe some left behind moisture. I would say keep an eye out, because that's where temperatures are expected to drop down into the low 30s and 20s as we head into early Wednesday morning, albeit it looks like it's going to be a much quieter time. Now let's talk about the radar showing the freezing rain, or not freezing rain, but the frozen precipitation, and also some areas of snow and also rain that will be around. Kind of some of that mixing in. And here we go into 6 p.m. this evening. No big concerns about your drive at that point. And then we head into the after midnight hours, 2 o'clock. We're starting to see that come back around the coast again too, seeing some of that snow picking up in its intensity too, where we could see some of those minor accumulations into some of those parts. And then we continue on into the morning commute around 6 to 7 o'clock. You can see that side trying to lift northward, but we're still going to have this spin in the atmosphere, which is going to bring back around some additional moisture. So as this continues to fill in later on into the morning, we'll keep an eye out for some additional accumulation amounts. Although, yes, as we get into the daytime hours, it kind of limits what we're able to do. So that's why accumulation amounts are expected to be low. But those areas right here into some of the foothill communities, I would say keep an eye out of King and Snohomish County and going farther to the north, because we will see some issues when it comes to maybe some snowy roads into some of those parts. And as we continue on there past 7 a.m., you can see that continues to fill in as we head on into that point. So it does start to fill in closer to Seattle. And I'm thinking it's more of King and Snohomish County and parts northward, Skagit and Whatcom County, that we're keeping an eye out for more of this accumulating snowfall than what you might see farther south into Pierce and Thurston County this go around. We're going to keep that around into possibly 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and then things do start to break apart later into tomorrow evening as a much quieter pattern does begin to shape up. And looking at the amounts of snow that we're expecting, I would say generally 1, maybe 2 inches of snow throughout tonight into early tomorrow around some of those sweet areas right there around Everett, Hood Canal. You could pick up a little more, and then some of the foothill areas too. Just keep an eye out as we can see just a little bit of a higher amount, and then around parts of the north coast where you can see Quileute is getting up higher, or at least around 2 to 4 inches of snow as we go over the next 24 to 36 hours. So your forecast as we continue on into the week, yes, calling for more chances of rain and snow, but check out what's happening as we go into Friday. Yeah, there's some moisture around, but it's a little warmer this go around, and we're seeing a little more of that green showing up here across western Washington as opposed to just the white. And then we continue on into the weekend. We still have that colder weather that's going to be in place. Still going to be cooler than average, but the moisture diving southward again down into California, where they're still going to be dealing with a lot more of that mountain snow, even getting a little lower in elevation than what it's probably used to being. And then your forecast as we look at that, the snow levels, we go from 200 feet for tomorrow back up to 2,000 feet on Wednesday, staying generally cooler and lower than where they usually are for a lot of the period here as we go over the next week or so. So your forecast today, the rain and snow chances, not a huge concern. We'll see those mix in from time to time and generally just be light. Highs barely getting up into the 40s farther to the north, maybe seeing some mid-40s around areas such as Bellevue, Issaquah, 44, low 40s around Everett, around Poulsbo and Kingston. We're talking upper 30s there, and then South Sound, low to mid-40s here into some of these parts with that mixture of rain and snow, a little more of those chances of light snow up into the foothill communities. Puyallup getting around South Hill, again, Enumclaw, Buckley, keep that in mind. And then overnight lows tonight with the additional moisture coming on in, we're going to see that temperatures do drop near that freezing point. Not a huge concern for the morning commute, but something that's going to be a little dicey if you're going to be heading out. So as we continue on here into your 7-day forecast, that's why we have that first alert weather for tomorrow morning because of the snow coming in and around that morning commute time. We should start to see that ease up by tomorrow afternoon, and then we're much better as we head on into Wednesday. Partly sunny skies and dry, and the rain and snow chances that we have later into the week will come along with, I would say, a slightly warmer air mass, so we're not expecting, or at least it doesn't seem like we'll see many impacts from that at all as we head on into that time, but we are still going to keep things relatively active as we go throughout the next week or so. And winter just continues to flex its muscle, but we got you covered here at King 5. So be with me, or stay with you here, and we'll keep you tuned here. I'll be on later on this evening at 4 and 5 o'clock, and then Leah Bizzetti is going to be on later tonight too for all the night side shows, so that she'll give you the latest on what we're expecting later throughout the day tomorrow, and then possibly what we can see later into the week. And then, of course, you can count on Rich Marriott early tomorrow morning on King 5 News. Take care, everyone, and have a marvelous Monday.